5 Tokyo Disney Resort planning tips that you need to know before your trip to Tokyo Disney. Make sure you stay till the end because I have a special 6th tip that you're not going to want to miss. Number 1, you are going to want to get in line for the park at least 1 hour prior to the official opening time. The Japanese do not shy away from standing in lines. They will line up for hours for something that they want to do. So if you want to have any hope of getting on some of those rides earlier on in the day when the lines aren't as bananas, you're going to want to get to the park quite a bit earlier than the opening time. I tried to rope drop Disneyland in particular 1 hour prior to opening. I think we only got there about 45 minutes before opening time, but the line was already crazy long, and we waited for security probably for about a half an hour before even getting through security. So definitely, if you're gonna rope drop, get there early. Tip number 2, before you get in that line for security, you're gonna want to have already at your hotel opened up your app and taken a screenshot of the QR code for your ticket. I was in line for security and I could see a lot of people trying to pull up their app and their tickets, and because it's such a swarm of people all trying to access that Wi-Fi, people were having trouble, and so if you get to the front of the line and you don't have Wi-Fi and you can't pull up your ticket, you're gonna be holding up the line quite a bit, and you don't want to be that person. So make sure that you have a screenshot of your QR code before you have to go scan into the park. One thing to note is that the parks in Japan don't have reliable Wi-Fi throughout the entire park. They generally only have good Wi-Fi at the front in the hub. And even then, it's hit or miss. So you might want to get your own data plan when you're there. That's what I did so that I could have Wi-Fi throughout the entire park. Once your whole party has scanned into the park, all of you have gone through the ticket point and you are all physically scanned in, that is when you're gonna want to get on the app and do 3 things, okay? The first thing is you're gonna want to get Disney Premier access for any rides that you are willing to pay for to get on. This is the paid Genie Plus Lightning Lane equivalent in Japan, Disney Premier access. So for example, there are certain rides like the Beauty and the Beast ride that you might want to pay to get on so that you don't have to wait 2 hours in line. You might want to also rope drop that ride and also buy a Premier Access Pass if you want to ride it again later on in the day. I think that one was about 15 USD per person. I'm not sure. I'm doing the conversions in my head. The second thing that you are going to want to do is get the 40th anniversary priority pass for a ride. This is the free fast pass or lightning lane that you can get for a bunch of rides throughout the parks, not all of them. So some of the rides only have the Premier Access, the paid Premier Access, like Enchanted Tales of Beauty and the Beast, but some of them you are able to get a free fast pass for. So this is the 40th anniversary priority pass. They might change the name after the 40th anniversary, they might get rid of it, who can say? But this is the free one. So you're gonna wanna do both of those things. The third thing that you're gonna wanna do once you get in there is get in the lottery for the shows. All of the shows at Tokyo Disney are on a lottery-based system. That means you can't line up for them and you can't pay to get in them. You have to go into the app and pick which show you want to try for, and then pick the time that you want to try for, and then click lottery. And it's literally just a lottery. It's not first come, first serve. You either get in or you don't. And then once you have tried to get into that first show, if you get it, great. You can try for a second show. If you don't get it, you're out of luck. You can't try for a different time of that show. You have to just try for a different show. So it's really hit or miss. For me personally, I was able to get into the lottery for Big Band Beat at Tokyo Disney Sea, and I got the first showtime. I feel like if you try for the lottery of the first showtime available, you're probably more likely to get it. I feel like they might maybe hold back and reserve some of those later showtimes for people showing up a little bit later. But I was able to get that one. Then at Tokyo Disneyland, I tried for a couple of shows there, and I did try the ones that were later on in the day, even though I had rope dropped and I got there early. I was thinking about my touring plan and I thought, oh, it will be easier if I can see the shows later on in the day. I didn't get any of them. So out of the 4 days that I spent at Tokyo Disney, I didn't see any of the shows at Tokyo Disneyland because I just didn't get the lottery, unfortunately. So I have to go back and try again. I did also speak with a cast member and I said, hey, is there any way for me to see this show? I'm going back to Canada tomorrow and there's no other chance for me to get in. Can I line up? She said, there really isn't. I'm so sorry. If you don't have a lottery, you don't get in. Something else that's interesting is when you do get a lottery for one of the shows, you get assigned seating. So it will say on your on the app when you get the lottery, your seat is A13 or G6, whatever your seat number is. So you don't have to get to the theater super early before showtime. You can really show up just 5 minutes before and find your seat, and that's your seat. It's reserved, which is pretty great. One note on the 40th anniversary priority pass, this is the free one. It works very much the way that Lightning Lane does in the US parks. So once you have either used your priority pass or I believe it's 2 hours has passed since you booked it, you can then book a new one. So either one of those things needs to happen and then you can book the next one and then the next one, and it just kind of rolls throughout the day. So very similar to Lightning Lane, and it worked really nicely. There are a few rides that you won't be able to do because they don't have 40th anniversary priority pass that way, but quite a few of the e-ticket rides do in fact have it. So you don't have to line up for everything. Well, you still do have to line up. You just get to go in the fast pass line. A strategy that I'm gonna share for getting all of these reservations done as soon as you get through the park entrance. If you have multiple people in your party, if you're not alone, give everybody a job. So I was there with my husband, and before we went through the turnstiles, we went, okay, you're going to get the paid premier access. I'm going to try to get the 40th anniversary priority pass and then do the lottery. Or if you have multiple people in your party, more people can take one task. If you want to do something that you have to pay for, make sure that you either have a credit card quick access so that you can input that information if you're trying to get the paid premier access, or that your card is already on the app and that it works. Our cards worked every single time we tried to use them, but I have heard that sometimes American cards, the app doesn't like them, so you might have to try to find a card that does work. I'm not sure, because for us, we were using Amex, Canadian and US Amex cards, and they all worked for us, so we didn't have any trouble with that. Tip number 4, make advanced dining reservations or be prepared to wait in line for food. Again, in Japan, they will line up for things. They don't mind waiting in line. So the lines get really long, especially for food, especially at noon and around 6 o'clock. But honestly, I found the lines for a lot of the food, snacks, and quick service locations really long most of the day. So I didn't necessarily see a peak at noon or 6 o'clock. I saw a peak throughout the whole day, but I have heard that people say try to avoid noon and 6 the way that you would in the US parks because those are prime eating times. But at Tokyo Disney, a lot of those lines are long the entire day, and some places more than others. You can make advanced dining reservations for the sit-down restaurants in both parks in advance of your trip, but my husband and I actually ended up doing most of our advanced dining reservations the day before we actually needed them, or the day of. A lot of people cancel their reservations right before the actual day that they're going to use them, and we were just snatching them up. And we didn't make advanced dining reservations way in advance because we didn't know that we were going to want them. I had thought to myself, oh, I'm going to go to a lot of the quick service locations. It'll be faster that way. But in the end, it wasn't necessarily faster because a lot of those lines for quick service restaurants are 30 to 40 minutes long. And what's great about the Tokyo Disney app is that it actually tells you how long the wait times are for the restaurants, for the quick service restaurants. I love that. So you don't have to walk all the way to the restaurant that you want to go to and get there and then be like, 45 minutes, I don't want to, you can see it before you go there in the app. So that's fantastic. What's not fantastic is actually having to wait 40 minutes for a quick service meal. And so after the first day, my husband and I decided we're just gonna make a bunch of ADRs so that we don't have to wait for those quick service meals. Something that I found interesting was some of the quick service locations are almost a hybrid between quick service and table service. So we went to a quick service location and we lined up for it for about 20 minutes. And when we got there, they asked us if we had a reservation for it first. And I was like, I didn't think you could make a reservation for this because it's a quick service location. And I don't know how you could have made a reservation for this because I didn't see it in the app. So question mark there. I'm not sure how you would have gotten a reservation for quick service, but they did ask. And then once we got in, they led us to a table and it was an assigned table. So they don't just sort of like let you go in, order, find a table. There are quick service spots that are like that, but this particular place, and I'm sure that there are others throughout the parks, they really did treat it like a sit-down meal. So even though it was quick service, they led us to the table, sat us down, a server came over and took our order, and that was it. So I thought that that was interesting. Then I went to another quick service spot where it was a lot like what you would see at Walt Disney World or Disneyland, where you get in line and you go up and you order at a booth, and then you get your food on a tray and you go find a table. Something else that is interesting at some of these quick service locations, the ones where you are not assigned a table or given a table or brought over to a table, people will come in and they will place their backpack, their hat, their purse, whatever, they will put their stuff down on a table to reserve that table while they go get their food. So you would never see that in the US parks because obviously you don't want somebody snatching your stuff. But in Japan, there isn't a lot of theft like that. They are a very trusting and safe, I guess, society, at least in the Disney parks. I actually did see this in some food courts outside of Disney, which was very interesting. But at Disney in particular, you'll see like someone will put their Mickey Mouse hat on the chair, and that will reserve the chair for them. So if you want to, you can do that as well. You can get into the quick service location, scope out a table, put your Mickey ears down, and then go get your food, come back with your food to a table that you know that you have, and your Mickey ears will have saved the spot for you essentially, and no one will have taken them. It's pretty amazing. Tip number 5, when it comes to parades and shows in general, again, the Japanese will wait for stuff and they will line up for a good spot. And what happens when you get into Tokyo Disney, you will see immediately people are rope dropping to get a spot for the parades that will come throughout the day. So people will go in and they'll start to line the hub, line Main Street, line wherever on the parade route is a good spot. They will put down blankets, they'll put down tarps, plastic sheets, and they will put their bags there, they will put their stuffies there, and they will save that spot. And you will walk down the hub and you'll see these tarps with stuffies on them, and no people. They go in and they save that spot, and then they go and they do whatever. Sometimes you will see people on those tarps and spots saving their seat, and they actually just camp out there all day. They wait there for the cavalcades, the parades, everything to just pass through, and that's what they go there for. They go there for those character interactions in the parades, so they won't ride the rides. They'll just sit and wait and enjoy a day of parades and cavalcades. So if you are planning to watch any of these parades, which I strongly suggest that you do because the parades at Tokyo Disney are so good, you are going to want to be aware of the fact that a lot of these spots will be taken. And in Japan, they sit for the parades. There is no standing. So if you want a seat in the front row, you got to go real early. Otherwise, you're going to have to sit behind somebody, but everyone's sitting, so everybody has a pretty good view. It's so civilized and so nice. And you don't have to just stand there for hours waiting. You just sit on the sidewalk. That's why people bring tarps, so they don't have to sit on the ground. One tip that I will give you that may work, may not work, it depends on the area, depends on the cast members that are there. But what you can do right before a parade starts is you can actually stand behind everybody who is sitting. So you can find a spot, and what I did was, this was right before the Main Street Electrical Parade. We had a dining reservation, and 5 minutes before the parade started, we got out of there, we ran over to the hub, and I went over to a cast member and I said, hey, can I stand in the back over here? And she goes, yes, standing, you can stand, just make sure you're behind all of the people who are sitting. Fantastic. So I had an incredible view of the parade because everyone in front of me was sitting, and I got to stand in the back and take videos of everything. It was incredible. But the next time I was at Disneyland, this was for the daytime parade, I tried to do the same thing. About 15 minutes before the parade, I tried to scope out a spot, and I thought in my mind, oh, this is even better because there's truly nobody behind me. I was in a spot where it was just trees and bushes behind me. So I was like, there's no way they're not gonna let me stand here. I'm not blocking anybody. I was in between two benches. So people were sitting on the benches and then people were sitting in front, and I just squeezed in and I got a spot between the benches and trees behind me, and I was like, this is gold. Right before the parade came along, I stood up because I thought, okay, now the parade is coming, I can stand. And I immediately was told, no standing. And I said, but there's literally nobody behind me. Can I not stand? No. I was told to sit down. So sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Okay, let's do my 6th bonus tip. Here it is. It also has to do with waiting and standing in lines. If you are going to Tokyo Disneyland and you really want to ride Enchanted Tale of Beauty and the Beast, and you want to rope drop it because you don't want to pay, or you want to pay for later and you want to rope drop it so you can ride it twice, I highly suggest you ride this ride. It's amazing. You need to be aware of how to get to this ride. So if you look at the map, and you are looking to rope drop, sometimes, like at Walt Disney World, there are multiple ways to get to the ride. You might go through Tomorrowland, you might go through Fantasyland. That doesn't work at Tokyo Disney, especially for this ride, because the line gets so long so quickly that it extends beyond the actual queue. So what happened to me was I thought, oh, I'm gonna take a shortcut and I'm gonna go through Tomorrowland to get to the queue because it's a slightly shorter route. By the time I got there, and I rope dropped, mind you, I was there an hour before park opening. I rope dropped, I get to the start where I think I'm gonna get to go into the queue. The line is already so long and it's coming out and it's going towards Fantasyland. So now I'm having to backtrack, going all the way out back to Fantasyland to just try to find the back of this line. The line's already a 2-hour wait at this point. So unfortunately, I really should have gone through Fantasyland because then I would have hit the back of the line instead of going through Tomorrowland and then having to walk the entirety of the line. Don't be like me, go through Fantasyland to get to Enchanted Tale of Beauty and the Beast, trust me. And those are my top tips for your trip to Tokyo Disney. I hope those were helpful. If they were, please leave me a comment and let me know which tips you found helpful. If there are other questions that you have, if you want another video with additional tips, I am happy to answer them as always. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you later. Bye.